Hey. What's up, my friends? And welcome into Studio Day here for you to talk about Cowboys football today. The DLLS Cowboys show is off on Wednesday because we have a game on Sunday and we work 5 days a week. So Jeff's here on his own little channel. Make sure that you're liking and subscribing, but also make sure you're subscribed to DLLS Sports so you can see my Cowboy show over there 5 times a week. Ben's in here. It's time for Jeff to tell Jerry who to draft. They don't listen to me very often. They have a few times. And I'll tell you what, when they listen to me, they haven't done a bad job. They listened to me on Gallup, Jordan Lewis, Xavier Woods, a 4-year starter in the 6th round, bro. I did that for you. They've listened a few times. Xavier Woods was my favorite one because if you guys are new around here, we were doing the draft show at the Star after they made their pick in like the 3rd round or 4th, or maybe after they picked someone in the 4th. I don't remember. And the DB coach came in and we got to interview him for a little bit because he had already gotten Cheeto and Jordan Lewis. And when we were done, I was like, all right, make sure you guys get back up in this thing and get Xavier Woods. And he just laughed. He said, I'll see what I can do. And then 2 rounds later, they picked him. And that was fun. So, hi, everybody. We have things to talk about with the Cowboys today. Cowboy thing number 1, DeMarvion Overshown. We do have good news. We have good news. It is not good news when you tear everything in your knee, which is what DeMarvion Overshown did. ACL, MCL, PCL. That's a lot of things to tear in your knee. But when you hear that there is nothing done to any nerves, that's a good thing. Jalen Smith could never actually be a real good NFL player because he had nerve damage in his leg, and that don't fix. DeMarvion Overshown, by all reports from the beat writers and from some national folks, he tore all the ligaments, but no nerve damage. So I don't want to be overly optimistic. Like I know what they're going to sell is, 9 months or whatever. And that in theory, DeMarvion Overshown could start the year on the physically unable to perform list and come back later in the year. If he does, great. I wouldn't plan or hope for it. Just accept that if it happens, and that's really fun. But ideally, he can get anywhere back to who he is physically right now and play football in 2026. That's kind of more likely. No DLLS today from Mo. No, not today because we do 5 days a week. And when there's a game on Sunday, that means Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. And when it's not a Sunday game, then we'll do all the weekdays. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, the good news is no nerve damage. So nerve damage is terrible, awful, bad, terrible. And tearing ligaments is something that happens in sports a reasonable amount of the time. And with DeMarvion Overshown, it's still a huge, big-time injury to blow out everything in your knee. But I believe in the dude. I think the dude matters. There are certain players on the team and around the NFL that if they just tear an ACL, it'll take longer than it should because dudes are built different. Some dudes are going to get back when they get back, and some dudes they're really about this life. And football is their thing, and they love it, and they can't stand not doing it, and they're going to bust their ass every day, and they're going to get back and play football. Overshown's in that camp. He's a grinder. So there's your good DeMarvion Overshown news of the day. The next thing I want to do is I want to ask you guys a question if you're in the chat. Here's a question for the chat. What's the Cowboys' biggest need this offseason? And I'm going to make a rule. My rule is the answer can't be Jerry Jones or anybody in his family, and it can't be coach, and it can't be quarterback. Because I'm talking about things that we can actually talk about right now. Because I don't know who's going to coach this team next year. I know that Jerry and Steven aren't going anywhere. So what's the Cowboys' biggest need this offseason? The funny thing is I asked that on Blue Sky. Yeah, I'm farting around on Blue Sky a little bit. And Twitter and Instagram. And I got a lot of different answers. And none of them are wrong. I told you can't say QB because Dak's not going anywhere and they're not picking a quarterback in the first round and they're not signing a quarterback in free agency. Therefore, we can't do quarterback, okay? It's not allowed. It's not allowed. What is the Cowboys' biggest need this offseason? Nesto, playmaker, both sides of the ball. And then we have 3 straight offensive line picks. And I think so far nobody has said what mine is. Pass rush makes everything easier. DT and O-line. All right, Smith Dog is barking up my tree. But that's the thing. Is if you want to be optimistic about next year, you have to ignore the fact that they need a million different things and they're going to have to change the way that they operate or they're dead in the water because of the number of things. Sup, Jeff? Do you think Liufau is going to be ready for the green dot next season? Are you interested in bringing back Kendricks? You can bring back Kendricks if he costs you absolutely nothing. Thank you, Marcus, for being in the super chat. I hope so. Liufau's been way better, I think, the last 2 or 3 weeks compared to the rest of the season because I think for most of the season, Liufau's looked pretty lost. And has not played good NFL football, although he will smash into people, which is great. Maybe. He better be. Because as we go through the Cowboys' biggest needs, you're going to find out he better be. Because we don't got time for anything else. D-line, wide receiver, an OC who knows how to call plays. We can talk about McCarthy if you want to, but I don't want to because everybody gets so mad at me. I'm not saying I wouldn't like to upgrade from Mike McCarthy. I'm saying Mike McCarthy is not the biggest problem, and I don't think he's even all that close to the big. Maybe he's on the list. O-line, D-line, DT, wide receiver 2, OT. Look at all these things. DT, wide receiver, D-line, O-line, DB, O-line or D-line, wide receiver, pass rush and offensive line. We have all the different things. We can't say coaching. No coaching is allowed. Whatever's going to happen is what's going to happen. DLLS already out of business. No, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, when there's a game on Sunday. Liufau's a rookie. How about giving him time to get better? Okay, you know what we're going to do? You know what I got to do? But you got me making not words. When I say that somebody hadn't played good NFL football, it's not me saying that they're going to suck for their whole life. It's making an observation about the way that they have played football. Marist Liufau, through 10 weeks of the season, was not a good NFL player. The last 2 to 3 weeks, I think he's looking better and making progress. That's good. Maybe next year, he's a good NFL player. That would be awesome. We need him to be. Absolutely need him to be. How did Nealon look on tape? I think Nealon looks okay, and like he's going to be absolutely fine as one of your 3 top edge guys going into the future. And that's lovely. Why did it take 3 years to get Turpin the ball in space? Turpin's a weird one because Turpin's not actually good at wide receiver, which is weird because in camp he looked really good and he was playing real life wide receiver and he was making all the catches and he was making plays, even in places where you would think he wouldn't, like in the red zone. He was doing all of those things, which was kind of new. And then the season got here, and when they were giving him the opportunities, he was not making the plays and he was dropping the ball and he maybe didn't know where he was supposed to line up, et cetera, et cetera. But he should be back next year because let me see. Where's my list? Cavante Turpin. Yep. Yeah, he's a restricted free agent. So if you want him, he'll be yours. If you don't sign him to a long-term deal, you can keep him for basically $3 million. You tender him, right of first refusal. It's about $3 million. And if anybody offers him a contract and he signs it, then you can match it if you want, or you let him go. Let's see. Jeff, how do you reconcile the fact that we were a 7-point favorite and got blown out? If his selling point is he's only an average play caller but won a Super Bowl, how does his team not show up? I think playoff games is such a small sample size. You'd love to get another chance at it. No, I think in the playoffs, McCarthy's been outcoached, Quinn's been outcoached, all the guys we have been outcoached. I'm not making the case that he's a great head coach. I think he's a good head coach. I think he's at least fine as a play caller. And I want better too, but I also live in a world where I follow and talk about the Dallas Cowboys. So like whatever they do next, that'll probably be worse. And so that's the hard part. Like the Joneses are cheap. To me, that's the most frustrating part. Jeffrey Lurie just sold, is it 8% of the Eagles? And I haven't seen a story on it to have his explanation for why, but I have a guess. He ain't cheap. So he gets to pocket $700 million or whatever for selling 8% of his team. It's still his team. He can still control everything, and he can keep signing players. Like the Cowboys will sell you on the idea that because the salary cap is a certain dollar amount, that teams all spend the same. That's not true. The Eagles will sign big free agents every offseason because they're willing to write that check and they'll account for it later. The Cowboys don't sign big time free agents because they don't want to write that check. So yes, they'll fill up their cap space with guys on 1-year deals or cheap free agents. But the teams who aren't cheap will hand out $60, $80 million checks every offseason as signing bonuses to real players. And so now in that particular year, their cap hit isn't big because you get to spread that signing bonus number out for accounting over 5 years. Bang. Cowboys are cheap. Mike McCarthy, I believe, makes $4 million. There's NFL coaches who make $15 to $20 million. The Cowboys are cheap. They're not going to go pay Ben Johnson when he hasn't proven anything because he's an offensive coordinator. So in their mind, he hasn't proven anything. He hasn't proven anything as a head coach. I'm not paying $20 million. I'm not paying 5 times more than I could pay for a Super Bowl champ. They're cheap. And I hate it. I hate it. Is it because Jerry's cheap or because he has other obligations? It's both. Yeah, I mean, they are running 100 companies. And so that's unfortunate. So anyway, so should he be fired then? I don't care what happens with Mike McCarthy. I don't care what happens with McCarthy. If he's back, I'm fine with it, and I get it. If he's gone because you just say, look, you had enough opportunities, regardless of the fact that this year you never really had a chance. Like, you had enough chances, so I'm not interested in giving you a pass on this one. We're just going to go find something else. That's cool too. That's fine. I don't want to defend him though, because everybody yells at me. Broadish yelled at me. He said, "Shame on you," to me. And you want to know the thing? I'll get back into their needs and the offseason in a second. Can I pull it up for you guys, maybe? Let me see if I can pull this up on the fly. Going back to how they lost the game this weekend. Was it Monday? How they lost the game Monday? Let me see. Film room. I want the Cowboy game. I'm going to see if I can show you this. No, the NFL doesn't like that. You'll get in trouble. I'm not going to show it. Oh, Jerry's NDA stuff. Yeah, he loves NDAs. Like at the end of that game, people are mad because Rico averaged over 7 yards a carry and that they went away from it. And I just think that is oversimplifying to an extreme. Like, they didn't go away from it. They handed it to him on first down. He got 14 yards. Then they called a pass play. And once that's incomplete, you're going to pass on 2nd and 10, 3rd and 10. So the fact that the quarterback threw an incompletion is what led to 3 of them. And then the next drive where you throw is because you had 1 minute left. So it's like, that's 6 pass attempts because you failed on 1. And the way you failed on that 1 was you just run for 14 yards. And what I need people to understand about, if you have a bad quarterback, a rookie quarterback, a backup quarterback, the way that you give them a chance to have success in a football game is, 1, you throw on early downs. 2, you run play action. So the Cowboys are in a tie game and they're trying to win it. They've just run for 14 yards. They've run the ball well today, and they're going for a freebie because they know we've run it well. They're going to play us to run the ball. We just ran it. We're going to run play action from under center, and we're going to give our quarterback a really easy throw, because hitting the easy button is what you want to do for young quarterbacks, backup quarterbacks, all of those things. And play action is the easy button. And so they did. And they rolled out left, which I don't think they'd done all game. So I would tell you that what most people are taking as, how dare you not run the ball enough and go away from it at the end, that they went to it at the end. And it set them up to move the ball easily and freely when the team didn't think you'd throw. You're going to show them play action. Cooper Rush is rolling left, which you haven't shown them yet. And Jake Ferguson is open by 5 yards, and he's 10 yards from Cooper. It worked. It was perfect. He made an awful throw. He had another guy wide open 10 yards behind that. He made an awful throw. And if you're just going to go with he made an awful throw because he's a terrible player and that's why we should never call a pass play, I guess I can't fight that. If you just never want to call a pass play, that's fine. No, I didn't, Felony Strutter. I remember you getting mad at somebody on the show, but it wasn't me. So, no, I didn't. Roman Wolf Gaming, will Overshown be okay? Linebackers you would pick in the draft. I hope Overshown will be okay. I think because there's no nerve damage, he's got a chance to be okay. I'm trying to think what percentage to put on that. I would say I think he'll definitely come back and be an NFL player. I'm confident in that. Blow out an ACL on one knee and blow out everything on the other knee. Will he ever be the same level of explosion? Maybe not, but I hope so. And the crappy part is I can't afford for Overshown to have a major injury because you know what I needed from Overshown? We talk about all of his good, and he makes huge plays. But he also has a lot of growth on making sure you're in the right gap, not letting quarterbacks escape when somebody else is blitzing, breaking down as a tackler. Like there were a lot of things that I wanted him to keep getting reps on because he had the potential to be a guy where you say, oh, we're playing the Cowboys. We're playing against CeeDee, Parsons, Overshown. I think he had the potential to get into that category. He had a lot of stuff to get better at to get there, but he had the potential. And to lose that for at least a year, that sucked. That sucked bad. Could it also be know your personnel and don't have rush rollout left? I think that was the whole point. And that's the thing. And I just think so many times what we do is if a play doesn't work, the coach is a dumbass. And I think that was really smart. Cooper Rush is capable of throwing a football 10 yards while jogging to his left. He could have stopped running to his left and thrown the ball. He's capable of that throw all day, and he effed it up. And that sucks. So, where's all my offseason stuff? Like, we're talking about what is the Cowboys' biggest hole this offseason? What's the biggest need? And so I went through it last night, all the guys that are going to be free agents and all the guys that will be back. And I came up with, I think they need, not could use, that would be nice, need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6-ish starting players. Starting players. Not just players. Next year, the defensive tackle room for the Cowboys, do you know who's in it? Mazi. That's it. Everyone else is a free agent. Just Mazi. And it's already not a good group. So I think you need to re-sign Osa, first of all. And they will do that. He's the sort of guy they would re-sign. They love re-signing their own guys if they don't have a big market. And I don't know how big his market is, because what is Osa Odigizua on this team right now? Maybe he's your second best pass rusher. He's probably a starting 3 technique for 10 to 12 teams. Is that number high? I'd have to go look at every 3 technique in the league. Like he's a starting 3 technique. I think the money will be right and you can bring him back. And then we still need 2 more guys to make the roster. But what I really want, I want a dude at defensive tackle. I don't want to watch Micah Parsons get 9 pressures, no sacks, and you don't get a sack on any of the plays where he got a pressure, because all Joe Burrow had to worry about was, I got to get by Micah. That's it. There's nobody else. I need another dude with Micah. And that makes Overshown hurt more too, because if you kept playing him as a blitzer or an occasional edge guy, he could do a little bit. But I need a dude in the middle. That's what I need. I need a monster. So that's my number one. They need a defensive tackle or two or three. Rico's a free agent. If you listen to our DLS Cowboys show, I would like them to slide a 3-year, $12 million contract into his locker right now and get him to sign it. I have no idea what Rico Dowdle's market is. No clue. For a journeyman that's 27, never really got a shot at it. And now if he stays getting the carries that he's been getting, he's still going to end up with 1,000-yard season. He keeps pulling his yards per carry up to almost 5 right now behind an offensive line that's not great. If a team just took the season he's having right now, he's probably worth more than that. But I think there's the context. If it's not proven, he's been banged up before. I've only seen it this much. $4 million a year? Bring Rico back. Draft a dude in the second or third round. Running back, good for 3 years. We good. A wide receiver not named CeeDee. And here's the thing about that need. Once again, you don't just need a guy. You don't need a guy to just throw in the pile with Tolbert, Brooks, Mingo, Turpin, restricted free agent. You'll have him back if you want him. No, again, you need a dude. If your plan is to contend, you got to find a dude in the middle, and you got to find a dude to play with CeeDee. Because every other receiver on this team right now, and hey, maybe you put this on coaching. Why can't any of the receivers get open, et cetera, et cetera? I've bitched about the scheme before. I don't think they do themselves a lot of favors on a lot of their plays. Their separation numbers are terrible. But I would also ask you this. Which guy that you've watched on this team do you think is going to go somewhere else and become a good starting wide receiver? Tolbert? No. Brooks? No. Flournoy is another guy that'll be here. Flournoy? No. Carolina's doing backflips about that Mingo trade. You traded, Jerry said another 4th-round pick on fire is what it looks like, and I actually needed that 4th-round pick. You know what you do with 4th-round picks? I tweeted this, or maybe I blue-skied this. I don't remember. 4th-round pick, sometimes a 5th-round pick. I'll just go back and look at what exactly they were. What Stephon Gilmore, was he a 4 or a 5? If you're trading a 4th-round pick, and this is an early 4th-round pick, you trade that for a proven NFL starter that can make a difference. Not for a dude on the borderline of getting cut after being a top 40 pick. That's not what you do with an almost top 100 pick. Those can get you real-life NFL starters. Brandon Cooks, Stephon Gilmore. That's what you trade 4s and 5s for, not Jonathan Mingo and Trey Lance. Jerry's 2 for 2 at finding guys that other teams didn't want at all, and nobody else was going to trade anything near what you did for them and doing it anyway. You're setting picks on fire, dude. Stop setting picks on fire. That's a bad plan. We don't need a receiver. We got Mingo. That's it. I need to circle back to that. Because that lines up with one other thing that I don't like. There's a lot of things I don't like. That's the stuff I don't like. Where am I? Where's my email at? The other needs. Boom. Okay, you have to have a defensive tackle. Even if you bring Osa back, you still need a starting caliber defensive tackle. You have to get a running back or 2, which that one at least I think is doable. You need a wide receiver. That's the one I have doubts about. If they use Mingo as a reason not to draft a wide receiver or sign a wide receiver, your boy's going to lose it. Linebacker, maybe 2. Your linebacker room next year is Damone Clark and Marist Liufau. Buddy Johnson, if you count him. That's it. That's your linebacker room. Got to have one. Offensive line. Because of the number of needs, I wonder if this is the one where they try to pretend they're fine and run out Tyler Guyton Tyler Smith, Cooper Beebe, Brock Hoffman, Terrence Steele. You've gotten some good stuff from Hoffman, and you've seen progress from Beebe. I don't know if you've seen progress from Guyton. It's another one that if they just roll into the next year because they have so many needs and say, no, this works. Good luck. You need a cornerback, at least one. Jordan Lewis will be a free agent. Hopefully they just sign him. And then that one we don't have to worry about other than depth purposes and hoping that Kalen Carson makes some sort of progress. You need safeties in the near future, but at least Wilson and Hooker are under contract for one more year. Wanya Thomas and Marquise Bell are not. Let me see. Are they? They're restricted free agents. So if you wanted to keep one or two of them, you could probably get them on a cheap multi-year deal. Otherwise, if you wanted to keep either one of them, it's going to cost you about $3 million on a one-year deal. Tight end, because of how many things they need, they may just roll with what they got. And to fix all of this, we have a first-round pick, a second-round pick, and a third-round pick. Anything outside of that, do not try to bank on or pretend that you're going to have a draft pick that fixes something. When you're talking about, they don't have a fourth-round pick, fifth, sixth, seventh-round picks, there are hits. And the Cowboys have some good hits. And they have found starters there. You can't count on that. The odds are on each individual pick, those are misses. They're not going to be NFL players. That's why you want a bunch of them. And they do have a bunch of them. And so you could find something. But you could count, I hope, on your first-round pick helping you as a rookie. You can count on your second-round pick helping you as a rookie. Third-round pick, more of a coin flip. But I can up the odds on that third-round pick if you make it a running back. That'll work. That's no problem. Pick the position that you're not going to miss on in the third round. How about that? So then I would have, let's say I did that. I used the running back as the third-round pick. I have a first and a second-round pick, and I need a dude in the middle, a dude on the outside, a linebacker, an offensive lineman, and a corner. And I may even be missing some things. So they got a lot of work to do. They got a lot of work to do. And I don't like it. Oh, yeah. And so going back to the most terrifying, troublesome, unnerving, anxiety-inducing thing that's happening right now is because Mike McCarthy's in the last year of his deal and could be getting fired and wants to be as competitive as he can and win as much as he can. Chuma Edoga is starting at left tackle and Tyler Guyton is not playing snaps while he's healthy. I get it because I understand that Mike has to try his hardest. It's terrible for the Cowboys trying to compete and contend. Tyler Guyton's got to play. Jonathan Mingo needs to play 50 snaps a game. Because if you go into an offseason where you're letting Chuma play in front of Guyton because you know that Guyton's not as good as Chuma Edoga, how the hell are you going to go into an offseason and assume that's your starting left tackle next year? He's got to play. He's got to play every game the rest of the way, play 4 more games of football and see if you see any progress. And if you don't, be ready to go, well, crap. We burned a first-round pick. We're going to pretend he's not here. And if he does improve and earns a spot on the field, fine, but we can't count on it. They're going to have him not get the reps, not get improvement, and still count on him to be good next year when they're saying he's not as good as Chuma. You can do that with Mingo too? We traded a 4th-round pick. So because we traded a 4th-round pick, well, he needs an offseason to understand what we're doing. And he might have to learn a new thing, depending on what happens with the coaches. So like we traded a 4th-round pick. So it's going to be CeeDee, Mingo, and somebody, despite the fact that it looks like he can't get open on anybody. Ever. Has Mingo caught a ball yet? I believe he has 2. I believe in 4 games, Mingo has caught 2 passes. So, yeah, I don't know. So there's a lot of stuff to do. That's all. And I wanted to get a little chat in with everybody. I wanted to say hi to everybody. What's your favorite color? Put it in the chat. Mine's green, but sometimes it's purple. Occasionally blue, and it used to be red. I never got to draft stuff. But I've also been live for a half hour. there any draft stuff I want to sneak in? I've been watching, guys. I've got a little draft board. South Carolina's got a fun safety. Dude's like 6'3", 230 pounds. It looks wild that he's out there playing safety, but he's good. He's good. Second round guy, according to me. Yeah, I could put together a short list of what I would love to see the Cowboys pick at 12 is where they are now. Who do you want them to pick? First round pick. Let's just say it's 12, just for the hell of it. It's 12. Any draft nerds with us? Who would you like to see picked at 12? Depending on where they pick, I'm going to have to make a list of that number of players, right? And I know I can't have some of them, but that's how we get to 12. Travis Hunter, I know I can't have him, but he's obviously on the list. Johnson, the Michigan corner, he's on the list. Malachi Starks, Georgia safety's on the list. For me, Jalen Walker, Georgia linebacker's on that list. Abdul Carter and Mykel Williams, Penn State and Georgia pass rushers are on that list. Mason Graham, defensive tackle, Michigan's on that list. Banks, the offensive tackle at Texas, is on that list. Simmons, the Ohio State offensive tackle, is on that list. Tet McMillan, Luther Burden, Emeka Egbuka, 3 receivers. Could I take all of them that high? It's a weird draft, so you can't be afraid to. Ashton Genty? How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So, I'll have it. I'll have 12 first-round grades. Luther Burden won't be an all-pro, so why take him so high? Okay. So, if you haven't been here for the last couple of draft streams, it's important to remember to couch everything with in this draft. You can trade down, but you have to find a trade up partner. Hopefully there's a quarterback left, somebody wants to come up. In this draft, none of these dudes would go in the top 10 last year, except Travis Hunter. None of them. So you have to adjust what you're looking at. And if you're picking 12th, you're picking the 12th best player. And are you going to project him to be an all-pro? No. But how many people in this draft are you projecting to be an all-pro? I think there are, and people can surprise you. Predicting the future is hard. Travis Hunter could be. Johnson, the Michigan corner, could be. Abdul Carter and Mykel Williams, there's a lot of ability there, but they're both kind of raw and project-y. Mason Graham, I think, is a good player. That's not an all-pro. Any of the offensive linemen, take Kelvin Banks, the Texas offensive tackle, make him a guard. I could see that as an all-pro. No, I don't think any of these receivers are an all-pro. McMillan is the receivers are hard, man. My 4 favorite, Travis Hunter's my favorite receiver. You can't stay in front of him. He's a freak. The next guy I actually feel the best about, but you're right, he's not an all-pro, is Ohio State Emeka Egbuka, because he is so freaking pro-ready. Blocker, route runner. They'll put him in the backfield and hand it to him. Catches everything. Not a super explosive after the catch guy. Not a climb the ladder guy. Just a really good football player. Whereas Tet McMillan, gigantic receiver, Arizona, big time production, wingspan of a pterodactyl, good after the catch for his size. And then Luther Burden, super explosive, hell on wheels with the ball in his hands. Both of those guys have a higher ceiling. I really like Egbuka because I don't think he can bust. I have my hesitations about the big wide receiver that doesn't separate. I have my hesitations about Burden, who they just have to kind of force the ball too short because their team's bad. Last year, they did a better job of it. It's a weird draft. It's going to be a fun draft, but it's a weird draft. Did you think Parsons was a pass rusher? No, he played linebacker at Penn State. Abdul Carter has played pass rusher this year. And so he's a different projection because we have already seen it. Don't get me wrong. I'll take Abdul Carter with the Cowboys pick all day. I'll take Mykel Williams, the Georgia edge guy, with the Cowboys pick all day too. Because he's a bigger guy that also has all of the physical tools you want, just kind of raw, but I think it's all there. I'd take either one of the top 2 pass rushers with the Cowboys pick all day. And I would love it. Ewers will be a great reserve quarterback. Let's see. I wonder when he's going to get picked. There's a time when people thought he might be a number 1 overall pick guy, and he's got to go, right? He's got to go because Arch is coming. Is Ewers a 2nd round pick? Is he a 1st round pick? Is he a 3rd round pick? I got to watch the quarterbacks, right? I'll do it. I've been here too long. I need to go for a walk. Thanks for hanging out with me, though. And remember, you have no idea. Oh, please hit the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. Subscribe to DLLS Sports as well so that you can see our stuff over there and I don't get fired, all that stuff. I like my benefits, my salary. Remember that you have no idea what anybody's going through.